So, these are the only 10 charts you will ever need to communicate 99% of business insights effectively. And in today's video, I'll break down what make these charts work for clear executive communication using real-world examples from McKinsey. Stay on to the end because the final chart is the easiest to create, but the hardest to make effective. Okay, first up, the workhorse of data visualization, the bar or column chart. If you were to master nothing else, master this. For example, in this data slide from McKinsey, you can see that the most valuable steps to improve organizational resilience are visualized using a column chart. Besides using the right chart type for this data, effective and intentional design choices such as ordering the categories rationally, removing redundant elements such as grid lines and the y-axis, and including data labels with the most important data points highlighted in brand colors ensure the key insight is communicated at a glance. Now, a column chart is effective here because we have fewer than 7 categories. But when you have more than 7 categories, a horizontal bar chart like this McKinsey example becomes more effective because the horizontal space gives breathing room for the category labels and the layout is more ideal as we naturally associate rankings from top to bottom. So basically, a bar chart answers the question, how do categories compare? Different structures and formats exist to aid in quick understanding. For example here, in addition to enabling side-by-side comparisons, grouped bars are used to visualize the delta and emphasize the story, the performance gap between male and female managers across specific supportive actions. Stacked bars are used for showing part-to-all relationships while allowing for a comparison of totals across different categories. As you can see here, the stacked bars make it clear that travel consumers are becoming more comfortable with AI compared to 2024. In certain scenarios, you might need to diverge the stacked bars, which is the case in this example, as the diverging format ensures the story is immediately obvious, as seen by the decrease in job security worry levels with older demographics. The last bar chart format goes by a few different names, commonly a butterfly, tornado, or back-to-back bar chart. It's essentially a diverging bar chart but organized with a central axis for better visual balance and comparison across different categories as shown in this example. So that covers bar charts. Moving on to the next effective chart type, the line chart, which answers the question, how does something change over time? Nothing beats a line for showing trends, momentum, and direction. For example, in this data slide from McKinsey, a single line chart is used to show banking sector profitability over 2 decades. What makes it most effective is the use of contextual annotations to show how the sector crashed during the financial crisis and has recently recovered above the profitability threshold thanks to higher interest rates, ensuring the story is clear even in the absence of data labels. Of course, there are also multi-line charts as shown in this example. In the case of multi-line charts, it's best to use direct labeling, positioning the category name at the end of each line instead of forcing people to match the color to a legend. For forecast and projected data, it should be made visible with annotated elements, either dashed or dotted lines and labels to ensure the trend is clear and not subject to misinterpretation. Alright, the next effective chart type is what I've termed dot plots, which answers the question, how do values compare with minimal visual noise? Basically, they are used in place of bar charts to reduce visual density when you have a lot of categories. For example, in this slide from McKinsey, instead of using over 30 bars to communicate the story, McKinsey opted for simple dots to reduce the visual density and communicate the fact that consumers in the US enjoy plant-based products for their own health more than for the health of the environment. Connected dot plots like slope and dumbbell charts are used as a more compact alternative to grouped bars, while making the direction and magnitude of change more intuitive. The connecting lines in this dumbbell chart emphasize the change story between 2020 and 2021 for each barrier to online grocery shopping and show which barriers became more or less important in 2021. While the connecting lines in this slope chart shows growth trajectories for 2 world segments, high net worth individuals and ultra high net worth individuals across multiple geographies between 2021 and 2026. The slope angle reveals growth rates, making it instantly clear which regions and segments are growing fastest. The other less popular and more niche connected dot plot is a bomb chart, which connects dots across multiple time periods and specifically shows change in ranks over time, as shown in this McKinsey example. The final dot plot format is a lollipop chart, which consists of a line connecting each dot to a baseline, usually 0, creating that distinctive lollipop appearance. And in this example, instead of using 40 bars, McKinsey reduced visual clutter for a dense data slide by communicating the story with lollipops that have significantly less visual weight. Alright, onto the next effective chart type, we have the area chart. And this answers the question, how does volume or composition change over time? Think of it as a line chart that emphasizes magnitude. So, it can be a single area chart with one metric where the volume matters, and it can be a stacked area which shows how parts contribute to a total over time, as shown in this McKinsey visual. A key thing to note is that stacked area chart gets messy real fast. So, keep the categories under 7, order them intentionally, and put the most important or stable category at the bottom. With that, let's move on to charts that are effective for part-to-O relationships, starting with the pie or its most commonly used variation, the donut charts. Pie charts get a ton of 8 in the data visualization world and are mostly skipped by data professionals simply because they are much better alternatives. But I believe they are actually quite effective at showing single percentages as part of the whole, as shown in this McKinsey visual. Of course, when you have a dense dataset, opt for 100% stacked bars with the main categories highlighted and the remainder of context muted. The same can be applied for 100% stacked area charts with a single metric across multiple time periods, as seen in this example where the visual tells the full story with the expanding blue area creating a powerful visual metaphor for internet penetration, filling up the world population. A modern alternative to pie charts is a waterfall chart, which is basically a 10 by 10 square or dotted grid where each dot or square represents a single percentage. These are often more utilized because we as humans can better count circles or squares easily compared to judging angles of multiple pie slices. A Marimekko, or just to summarize, a Mekko chart is simply a stacked column chart with an additional dimension, variable widths. This allows comparison along 2 dimensions simultaneously. Variable height shows composition, while variable width shows scale. As shown in this McKinsey example, it reveals dual insights, how big each job cluster is, the width, and what portion is at risk, the height, without needing separate charts. This enables proportional storytelling. By looking at the visual, we can see that industries with the largest widths and heights represent the greatest employment risk concentration. Mekko charts can appear complicated, so make them easy to interpret with clear labels, colors, and outlines that make the different subcategories distinct and readable. A visually similar chart is the trim-up chart. At first glance, you might think this looks like a Mekko chart, but they are different. While both excel at showing proportions of a total, trim-ups differ in that they can display hierarchical nested categories. Though not always, and don't follow the rigid column structure of a Mekko chart as seen in this simplified single-level trim-up visual from McKinsey. Each rectangle size represents the industry's revenue gap, making it immediately clear which industries dominate the total. Alright, that's it for part-to-whole relationship charts. Let's now move on to the next effective chart type, the scatter plot. This answers questions around relationships between 2 or more variables and is majorly used for exploratory analysis. As you can see in this McKinsey visual, the pattern effectively tells the story, with the annotated shading guiding interpretation. We can see that there is a systematic disconnect between what employees value and what employers think employees value in the workplace, revealing where perceptions diverge and highlighting where action is needed. In certain situations, additional variables such as bubble size and color are introduced to effectively communicate the full story. For example, in this McKinsey visual, the bubble chart simultaneously shows 4 variables at once: ease of implementation on the x-axis, financial impact on the y-axis, bubble size to show productivity impact, and color to differentiate business functions, making it instantly clear which AI use cases offer the best return for effort while showing which departments drive those opportunities, all without needing multiple charts. Bubble charts are best for dense datasets and should be applied sparingly, really only in cases when that third or fourth variable genuinely adds insights. Additional scatter plots design rules include adding scales on both axes and labeling significant outliers so viewers understand what they are looking at. Alright, for the next effective chart type, let's discuss histograms. And this answers, how is the data distributed? The key difference between histograms and bar charts is that histograms show distribution across continuous data. For example, in this McKinsey visual, the histogram reveals how disease burden is distributed across different age groups, making it instantly clear that mental health burden concentrates in younger ages, people below 40, while non-mental diseases skew older, people older than 60. A critical insight that totals or averages would completely miss. Okay, now let's move to the next effective chart type, which is my personal favorite, the waterfall chart. It's the ultimate storytelling chart, and unlike standard bar charts that just compare categories, waterfall charts answer how did we get here and what's driving this, transforming data into a narrative with a beginning, the starting point, the middle, incremental contributions, and end, the total impact. In this case, McKinsey used a waterfall chart to reveal the sequential buildup of emissions, making it immediately clear that heating systems offer the biggest decarbonization opportunity, accounting for 75% of the total. Here's another example. Instead of simply comparing 2020 employment versus 2030 targets side by side, the waterfall reveals the specific drivers of change following two future pathways, the lower and upper targets. And as you can see, each step logically follows. Here's where we are. Demographic growth expands the labor force. People transition from farming. This gets us to the baseline. Then potential increases in female labor participation unlock additional opportunities, making each policy level's contribution crystal clear. I could definitely show you more examples, but this isn't a waterfall chart video. So leave a comment down below if you want a dedicated video. Alright, on to the next effective chart type, the bullet chart. And this answers the question, how are we performing against a goal? As you know, executives care about one thing, are we on track? And bullet charts are so effective because you get to see the actual value, the target line, and the context performance ranges in one compact visual. As you can see from this example, it's immediately clear that customer support and value for money need attention while other areas exceed targets. Okay, that brings us to the final effective chart type, table-based visuals. These are the easiest to create, but the hardest to make effective. Sometimes you need precision, but that doesn't mean your table has to be boring. Take this McKinsey data table for example. To enhance this visual, we apply a heat map using a color scale to make the patterns jump out. And as you can see, there's high adoption of these three practices by farmers, visually represented by the concentration of lighter blue colors. In certain situations with dense datasets, in addition to position, you can also use subtle visuals like bubbles to communicate the key insight clearly, as shown in this example. Of course, you can also use in-cell bars to establish a clear visual hierarchy and aid quick understanding of your tables. Alright, that's going to do it for today's video. There are timestamps down below for each chart type, so you can save this video and come back to it whenever you need help with a particular chart or dataset. If you reach this point in the video, you're clearly a data enthusiast, so support the channel by leaving a like and subscribing for more content like this. Check out our resources to elevate your data presentations. The links are in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.